Through the ages, the art of alchemy traveled from Egypt and Arabia through Greece and Rome, and then finally to Western and Central Europe. The word originates from the Arabian phrase alchemia, which refers to the process through which the Egyptians prepared the stone or elixir. The word was borrowed into English. The origin of the Arabic root chemia can be traced back to the Coptic word chem, which made reference to the rich, dark soil of the Nile Delta. In esoteric and hieroglyphic contexts, the phrase alludes to the shadowy mystique of the primordial, also known as first matter. Today we will discuss what exactly alchemy is. The discipline of alchemy dates back centuries and is cloaked in mystery and secret. Its practitioners were primarily interested in finding a way to transform lead into gold, a goal that has captivated people's minds for thousands of years. However, the purposes of alchemy extended much beyond than the mere production of a few golden nuggets. The practice of alchemy had its origins in a sophisticated spiritual worldview, according to which everything in our immediate environment is imbued with some form of overarching spirit, and metals were believed not only to be alive but also to originate deep within the planet. In the past, when a low-grade or common metal such as lead was discovered, people believed that it was nothing more than a spiritually and physically immature form of higher metals such as gold. According to the beliefs of alchemists, the elements that make up the periodic table are not distinct substances but rather the same thing that has undergone varying degrees of transformation or refining on their journey toward reaching a state of spiritual perfection. Goals. Transmutation is the keyword that describes alchemy, and it can be understood in several different ways: in the changes that are called chemical, in physiological changes such as passing from sickness to health, in a hope for transformation from old age to youth, or even in passing from an earthly to a supernatural existence. All of these interpretations of transmutation are applicable to alchemy. The alchemical transformations that have taken place appear to have always been beneficial, and never entail degradation except as a necessary step in the progression of a process with a happy ending. The great human goods of prosperity, life, and immortality were the targets of alchemical research. In its pursuit of these aims, alchemy was not the first discipline to do so, rather, it followed in the footsteps of religion, medicine, and metallurgy. The earliest practitioners of chemistry were metallurgists, who were among the most successful artists in ancient times. Metallurgists were the first chemists. It seems as though they got their ideas from religion and folklore rather than from scientific research. According to this point of view, the miner and the metallurgist, much like the agriculturalist, engage in a magical religious relationship with the natural world in order to hasten the natural development of the fruits of the land. In ancient communities, the metallurgist was frequently a member of some kind of secret religious group. But prior to the development of alchemy were also the earliest forays into natural philosophy and the early stages of what is now known as the scientific view. In China, India, and Greece, systems of 5 fundamental elements that were almost identical to one another were postulated. This was done in accordance with a view that held that nature was comprised of antagonistic, opposing forces, such as hot and cold, positive and negative, and male and female, in other words, primitive versions of the contemporary concept of energy. Philosophers discovered correspondences between the planets, elements, and metals by drawing on an astrological tradition that was similar to their own. In a nutshell, before the advent of alchemy, the chemical arts and the conceptions of the philosophers of nature had already evolved into more complicated forms. Psychology. Carl Gustav Jung, a Swiss psychologist, is credited with resurrecting and popularizing alchemical symbolism after it was on the verge of extinction. Analytical psychology has made significant use of alchemical symbolism. After being given a copy of The Secret of the Golden Flower, a Chinese alchemical text translated by his friend Richard Wilhelm, Jung discovered a direct correlation or parallel between the symbolic images in the alchemical drawings and the inner, symbolic images coming up in the dreams, visions, or imaginations of his patients. At first, Jung was confounded and at odds with alchemy and its images. However, after receiving a copy of the book, he discovered a direct correlation or parallel between the symbolic images in the alchemical drawings. He witnessed these pictures of alchemy occurring throughout the process of transformation that Jung referred to as individuation in the psychic realm. In particular, he believed that the mental conjuring of pictures of gold or lapis as symbolic symbols of the beginning and end of this process of individuation was significant. Together with his alchemical mystic Assarer and fellow Swiss Jungian analyst Marie-Louise von Franz, Jung started collecting old alchemical works, and established a dictionary of essential phrases with cross-references. The many volumes of work that he produced shed new light on the art of transubstantiation and rekindled interest in alchemy as a symbol for the process of coming into one's own as a human being, one in which polar opposites are brought into contact with one another and inner and outer, spirit and matter are brought back together in the hieros, also known as the divine marriage. His writings have had a significant impact not only on general psychology, but also on the subfield of symbolic and archetypal psychology, which seeks to explain the significance of dreams, symbols, and the unconscious archetypal energies that underpin all psychological existence. Is alchemy a real process? It is easy to see why alchemy was doomed to fail because it was founded on a misunderstanding of fundamental chemistry and physics. The Aristotelian presumption that the world and everything in it are constituted of 4 fundamental elements, together with 3 that were dubbed essential substances, such as salt, mercury, and sulfur, served as the foundation for the alchemists' theoretical frameworks and empirical investigations. We now understand that the atoms and elements that make up the universe make up everything in it. Because lead and other metals are not made up of fire, air, earth, and water, it is not possible to alter the proportions of those elements in order to transform them into gold. This is because gold is made up of fire, air, earth, and water. Despite the fact that alchemy was never successful, many people nevertheless asserted that they had found the answer to the age-old mystery. Over the course of several centuries, tales circulated claiming specific individuals had uncovered the location of the philosopher's stone. Although the wealthy individuals who paid alchemists to perform research on their behalf never received a return on their investment, some of them did pay alchemists. Fake alchemists were so popular in the Middle Ages that several great authors, such as the poets Ben Jonson and Geoffrey Chaucer, wrote about them. Even if alchemy was a failure and there was no such thing as the philosopher's stone, the alchemists didn't get everything wrong. It is feasible to make gold from other elements using current physics equipment such as particle accelerators, but the amounts produced are so minute that they are insignificant, and the production process itself is prohibitively expensive in comparison to the value of the gold it yields. Lead is a common, dangerous metal that can hurt children and lead to brain damage. Gold is highly prized, revered, and frequently worn as jewelry. Although alchemy has been around for a very long time, the difference between lead and gold still exists. Despite the fact that alchemy was never successful in attaining its objectives, such as converting lead into gold or achieving immortality, it did leave a significant legacy. Alchemists were early practitioners of what would later become known as modern chemistry. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.